anyway, we come to the book of purity now, Kitab al-Tahara. Tahara in the Arabic language, it relates to nalafa, cleanliness. And but the Tahara is a what they call sifa hukmiya, yustabahu biha ma yumna'u min al-hadathi wal-khabath. It's a quality, a legal state that you're in that permits you to do what would normally be prohibited because of hadath or khabath. Hadath are those ahdath, are the occurrences that happen biologically from, like urine, feces, wind, those things that put you in a state in which you lose your wudu or ghusl. And then the khabath are impurities. So you have some feces on your robe or something. Tahara removes that. So now water. So that this is basically the reason the books of fiqh begin before wudu about tahara is because you need to know what water is what's called tahirun wa tahur. There's two types of water in terms of purity. Tahir is water that is tahirun, it's pure, and you can use it for adat. Tahurun is water that's pure that you can use for adat and ibadat. Adat are like everyday things. So if you put rose water into water, it's tahirun, but it's not tahur. It doesn't purify other things. So you can't use it to remove najasa, and you can't use it to do wudu or something like that, because it doesn't have that purifying element that the water does normally. So if you so he says here, فَصْلٌ وَتَحْصُرُ الطَّهَارَةُ بِمَا مِنَ التَّغَيُّرِ بِشَيْءٍ سَلِمًا إِذَا تَغَيَّرَ بِنَجْسٍ طُرِحَ أو طاهر لعادة قد صلح إلا إذا لازمه في الغالب كمغرة فمنطق كذائب. So he says that ritual purification is obtained through the use of pure water that is free of any alteration by something that changes its taste, smell, or color. So water should not smell if it's pure water. It shouldn't have a taste. It doesn't have a taste like other things have a taste. Obviously, the water, you can taste water, but it doesn't have, it's just water. It doesn't have that taste that other things have. And then that it doesn't have a smell. So if it has any of those three, one or more of those three things, it loses its tahuriya. If it's impure because of an impurity, then it loses its tahiriya. It's not tahir. So the tahuriya is the ability for it to remove impurities of hadath or khabath. And then the tahiriya is that you don't use it for even adat. You don't drink it or put it in food or cook with it or something like that. Unless, so he says, if it's safe from impurity, najis, and we're going to do najis in a second. If it's safe from impurity, if it changes because of impurity, then it's discarded. But if it's changed by a pure substance, then you can use it for conventional daily, non-devotional uses. إِلَّا إِذَا لَازَمُهُ فِي الْغَالِبِ. Unless it's something that becomes an intrinsic property, like rust. Like if it has rust color, then it's still tahur. Or, for instance, if it has a smell like arsenic or sulfur, like certain, if you're in a place where the water is sulfuric, then that's something yulazimuhu fil ghalib. It's always with it. So that's considered. And now, chlorine is part of, it's just part, it's yulazimuhu fil ghalib, and it's done for maslaha, to protect people. So if it has a chlorinated smell, I would not use like pool water to do wudu if it's got chlorine in it, because there's no necessity to do that if you have other water to do it. I mean, what I would do is I would wash with it, and I wouldn't use it in your mouth, because the mouth is only a sunnah. Yeah, I would do that before I would use iodine in the water. Hmm. Well, for instance, no, you find places where water has rust in it because of where it's flowing from. You see what I mean? So for instance, because of pipes, you get that redness. That's still pure water. This is about water. Yeah. I mean, water, water is the foundation of our religion. Without water, I mean, everything's based on water. Our life is based on water. Our prayer is based on water. So water is very important. Water's going to become increasingly important too, because the water tables are all dropping, and the wars of the 21st century are probably going to be water wars. Water conservation is part of our religion also. The Prophet ﷺ said that it was, he said it was fiqh to waste water even in a river. Like, because people could say, if he said that, they say, oh, well, he was living in the desert, and, but he said, وَلَوْ عَلَى نَهْرٍ جَارٍ. Even if you're on a flowing river, to waste water is israf, it's fiqh. وَلَوْ عَلَى نَهْرٍ جَارٍ. That's what he said. I mean, that's so clear that it's about conservation. It's not about, desert. And we waste a lot of water. I mean, the average person uses 6 liters to do wudu. And you can easily do wudu with half a liter, easily. Mm-hmm. It's probably, maybe a little less. Yeah, it was half a liter, around there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, water is pure. It's pure and purifying by its essential nature. It's only things that come into it that change its state. But the basis of water is pure. Just like kullu nashifin tahir, that's a qaida. Any dry thing is assumed to be pure before you consider it to have impurities. So if you're in a house and there's babies that are urinating and defecating, then you have cause to believe that the carpet, even though it's dry, might have impurities on it. But if you go into a house, there's no children, there's no dogs or anything, then the assumption is that it's pure. So you assume purity before you assume impurity. You assume permissibility before you assume impermissibility. That's an assumption in fiqh. Things are pure before they're impure. Things are halal before they're haram. Mm-hmm. What's that? Yeah, ocean water is tahir. The Prophet ﷺ was asked, a man came to him ﷺ and said, أركب البحر ولي قليل من الماء فأعطش. I get thirsty. If I did wudu, then the water would go. And he said, ماء البحر طهور ماؤه البحر طهور ماؤه وحل ميتته. The water of the ocean is pure and purifying, and the dead of the ocean is halal to eat. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's one of the 3. That's why he, obviously, the salt taste. And as far as we know, the Prophet ﷺ did not go to the ocean. He saw the ocean because Allah showed him the ocean in the cave at Ghar Thawr. Allah opened it up and showed him the ocean. There was a boat to take him if they needed it. But he never visited the ocean. He learned to swim, though, in a birka in Medina when he was a little boy. He was visiting his akhwal, his maternal side of the family. And he learned to swim in a little. It used to be there. Unfortunately, they recently destroyed it. Mm-hmm. What's that? When he was in the cave with Abu Bakr, he looked to the other end of the cave, and there was an opening, and the ocean was there, and there was a boat. When they were afraid that, the Prophet wasn't afraid, but Abu Bakr was terrified. Yeah, on the Hijrah at Ghar Thawr. So he looked, and Allah showed him the ocean. And in other words, he had an escape if he needed it. Just gave him tranquility. He took the coastal route, but if you look at Sheikh Abdullah al-Qadi's, he didn't go to the coast. It's a coastal route, but he did not go anywhere near, the ocean. I mean, he might have seen it, I don't know, but as far as we know, he definitely didn't travel on it. And the Sahaba discouraged ocean travel until Muawiyah. Muawiyah convinced Omar ibn al-Khattab to start a navy. But before that, Omar didn't want to do it. Sidi Ahmed Zarruq said the biggest proof that Allah is Latif bi'ibadihi, is sailors. Because he said they're the worst people. He said, Afsaqu khalqillah. They're like the most corrupt type of people, sailors. And he said, and yet they travel on little sticks across vast oceans, and Allah causes them to arrive safely. When Sayyidina Umar asked Amr ibn al-As what boats were like, he said they're like little sticks and the people are like little ants on them. He said, I wouldn't want to force any Muslims to do that. So, just to go on what is tahir, because this is important in relation to what makes things impurity. Tahir is every living thing is considered tahir according to Imam Malik. Araqahu wa damuhu wa mukhatuhu wa lu'abuhu. It's sweat, it's blood, unless it comes out. The masfuh, once it leaves the, and then it's mucus, like the phlegm, and it's saliva. That's all pure, including dogs and pigs, according to Imam Malik. And Imam Malik said there's no proof to say that pigs or dogs are impure. Their meat, the meat of the pig is najis, to eat it. But the pig itself is pure, it doesn't la yunajjis. And he said about the dog, Imam Malik knew the hadith, إِذَا وَلَغَ كَلْبٌ فِي إِنَاءٍ فَاغْسِلُهُ سَبْعًا. If a dog licks in a bowl, that's what it says, a bowl. It doesn't say if it licks you. It says if it licks in a bowl, wash it 7 times. Now Imam Malik said, if it was for najasa, there's no need to say 7 times. Because najasa, you just remove it, however much it takes you. It might take more than 7 times if it's something that's hard to get off. So he said the fact that he said 7 times means there's some other meaning to it. It's ta'abbudi. He called that ta'abbudi. There's ma'qul al-nas, and then there's the nas that is ta'abbudi. Ma'qul al-nas means it's rational. Ta'abbudi means it's rational, but we don't know the reason. أخفى الله سبحانه وتعالى علته عنا, like he hid its, legal rationale from us. So we don't know why there's 3 rakats at Maghrib or 2 at Fajr. It's ta'abbudi. There's a reason, but we don't know why. Well, that's different. See, if they roll around in their feces, it's the feces that's najis. It's not the pig. Do you see? So if a cat comes up to you with feces on it, the feces is najis. You have to avoid the feces, but the cat itself is not najis. Yeah. The hunting, yeah, exactly. The other proof that the Malikis use is that the Quran states that you can eat what your dogs hunt. And if something that is najis bites into meat or something, the meat becomes impure. So Imam Malik said it can't be najis because the meat's not impure. There's nothing, even in the Hanafi madhab, they don't break your wudu. Yeah. I mean, dogs are unjustly treated, to me, by the Muslims. I'm serious. I really believe that. Dogs have been really given a bad rap by the Muslims. Dogs are nice animals. There's a book by a Yemeni scholar, فضل الكلاب على كثير ممن لبس الثياب. The superiority of dogs over most who wear clothes. Yeah. That it has no, I don't think it's him, but you know, he just and Hasan al-Basri has 10 qualities that are in dogs that should be in every seeker of God. Hasan al-Basri, like he said, they get up at night and like they howl at the moon. He said seekers should get up at night and call on God. He said that they won't eat without looking around. Dogs, they always look around before they eat. He said they're always grateful. If you do something for a dog, it's always grateful. Like if you feed it, it's like gets really happy. He said that they're always loyal. They never turn on their masters. They protect the weak, like dogs. And there are many stories in this culture of dogs that save children, and you know, they have ghayra dogs. I mean, there's a dog. There's an amazing, I read this story about a lady who was attacked by a bear, and her dog ran like 10 miles or something to this place and just was barking so intensely to the people that they knew something was wrong, and he was like trying to get them to come, and they followed him and found this lady and saved her life because of that. Many stories like that. Of dogs that, I mean, I read that in the newspaper, you know, which doesn't mean it's true, but there are many, many examples. So dogs are given a bad rap, I think, by Muslims. In my own teacher, Marabat al-Hajj, wallahi, I used to eat dinner with him at night, and he would take the couscous, put it in his left hand, and he fed the dog while we were eating dinner. Wallahi, saw it with my own eyes. Because Bedouin have dogs. You know, Bedouin actually like dogs. And Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani, the great Maliki scholar, had a dog for hirasa. Because it's permissible to take dogs for hirasa. He had a dog for hirasa, and somebody asked him about it. He said, wallahi, if Malik was alive today, he would take a lion. You know, because there was so much crime or something. Anyway. A dog, you shouldn't have a dog in the house. But we know that the Prophet, there was a puppy dog in the house. Aisha had a puppy dog. And that's why when Jibreel didn't come for 3 days, it was because the puppy was in the house. So there were dogs. This idea that the Prophet hated dogs or something. And there's a hadith about the black dog, the aqur. But that has to do with wild dogs. They were feral dogs that were in Mecca that used to come down from the hills. And they had rabies. So the Prophet told them to kill them if they come down. But Muslims think it's like every dog. No, they were wild dogs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you shouldn't, in the backyard, in the yard. Yeah, dogs are good animals. And I think Muslims should have pets anyway. I'm not encouraging you to get a dog because other Muslims, I mean, I would actually, you know, like to have a dog for my kids because dogs are very protective of little children in particular. I mean, they will attack anybody that tries to mess with, you know, a child. But, you know, Muslims, I mean, it's like poor Khalid Abu Fadl had a dog, and, you know, people made a big deal about it. No, I mean, you have certain dogs are vicious. I mean, there are certain dogs that are very violent. Most dogs would never do that. They're like cats. I mean, cats know intuitively not to scratch babies. You know, they do. That's why they're alif. They're domesticated. Domesticated animals, that's their secret, is they don't attack us. That's why they're domesticated. But there are certain dogs that are verging on wild dogs, like pit bulls. Pit bulls will eat babies. You know, they'll attack people and kill people. Yeah, they are pit bulls. No, but I mean, pit bull that's absolutely haram to have a pit bull. Because it's worse than a gun. They have a potential to really cause harm on others as well. They're more wild than they are domesticated, pit bulls. And the people that have them are usually kind of criminal mentality. Do you know? They are. It's a low-life type of mentality that wants a pit bull. You know, most people like dogs because they're companions. They're happy. They're nice. Pit bulls are like, I mean, you know, it says something about the owner more than the dog.
Is the meat of any other animal the path of other than pigs?
Well, if it's dead, yeah, if it's dead. And then there's a khilaf about certain animals. Well, Malik Malik limits the prohibition of, I mean, Malik permits eating dogs. There's karahiyah. You know. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, Koreans, you know, they need a madhab. Because that's like a delicacy in Korea. You know, when the Koreans came to Saudi Arabia, in Jeddah, all the dogs disappeared. And there was a Korean in L.A. who ate their next door neighbor's dog. It was a big case in L.A. They tried to sue him and everything. And he was like, you know, it was a nice looking dog. He got hungry. I once, you know, I had one of my teachers. He was Mauritanian, Sheikh Mohammed Shaybani, and there was another one, Sheikh Sidia, and Shaybani he kind of inclined towards the prohibition of dog, because there's an opinion in the Maliki madhab that it's prohibited to eat muharram, but he inclined towards that opinion. And Sheikh Sidia, who's a Mauritanian, very real Bedouin, but he was a mufti in the Emirates, but very Bedouin, and he was like, you know, most of the Mauritanians, like the idea that you could challenge Malik is just absolutely absurd. So they would get upset, even though you'd think that you could disagree with him. So he kind of said, how can you say? He said, Imam Malik said it was makruh and you should just leave it at that. And he said, and Sheikh Shaybani said, nah, he said that, you know, it's. And so they were debating about it. And then I mentioned that about the Asians, that certain Asians, you know, eat dogs. And when I said that, the Sheikh Sidiya, who was arguing for the dog, he said, he said, they eat dogs. I said, yeah, they eat dogs. He said, and Sheikh Shaybani just looked at me, he said, see, you know, you're disgusted by it. And then he says, also the egg is pure. Illa al-madir, unless it becomes foul. You know, like a rotten egg is considered najis. وَمَا خَرَجَ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهِ. And if it comes out after the animal dies, then it has the category of najis. Balgham, which is phlegm, is considered pure. Safra, which is bile, is considered pure. So the contents of the stomach are pure unless they've been changed. Al-mutaghayyir. All right, so qalas, which is like reflux, you know, gastric reflux, is pure. And bile is pure. It's something that's released by the gallbladder. But if what you vomit is changed, food, and has a smell, it's considered impure. And then maytul adami, you know, the dead things from humans, ma la dama lahu, is pure. والبحر, also things from the ocean. وما ذكي من غير محرم الأكل. And also what was sacrificed, if it's not haram to eat, then it's considered pure. If it's dhukiya, if it had been sacrificed. And then there's a khilaf about the use of animals if it goes through a tanning process. So even like here, belts and things like that. I mean, if you went staunch Maliki madhab, you really shouldn't wear belts that you don't know where they came from. But there's a khilaf about that. And shoes and things like that. The what? Sea pigs, yeah. Khinzir al-Bahar. He considered it, you shouldn't eat it. But that was from the name. And a sea pig is, it's a seal. Yeah, it's the seal. And then also hair, and also the down of the, down of the fluff of feathers, like down. In Shafi'i madhab, it's najis, which is why Shafi'is don't pray in like a down jacket or something like that. Whereas in Maliki, so there's a khilaf about that. And then al-jamad, anything that's, like wood and rock and stone, except intoxicants. So alcohol is considered najis. وَلَبْنُ آدَمِيًّا وَغَيْرَ الْمُحَرَّمِ. The milk of humans is not najis, also if it's not haram to eat. وَفَضَّرَةَ الْمُبَاحِ. If it's a permissible animal, like the excrement of the permissible, if it doesn't eat najasa. So for instance, if a chicken eats najasa, then what comes out of it is najis. All right? Like the birds, the same. If they eat najasa, but normally it wouldn't be. If it's mubah, like a dove or something like that. But it's mandub to wipe it off. I mean, anything, because it's mustaqdar. It's something that's foul. And then also the gallbladder, reflux, vomit if it hasn't changed the state of the food, musk and its gland, khamar that has been made into vinegar or dehydrated. It's solid. And also alcoholic, alcohol that's used for like 98 proof type, that's used medicinal alcohol, is not considered najis. And my teachers from Mauritania considered the alcohol in perfume to be also permitted. So, I mean, because there's alternatives, I think it's better to use it, unless obviously it's like a oral, if you've got, if you're using it medicinally. Yeah, because then even to take herbs with alcohol, if it's being used medicinally, is permitted. So a lot of them are, yeah, and you can't drink them. I mean, yeah. No, I was saying that if that, because alcohol, people drink mouthwash to get drunk, so it is alcohol, and it is a muskir. So people should not use it unless if like a dentist prescribed it as a medicine to use and you didn't swallow it. But I would not use alcohol, mouthwash with alcohol for other than medicinal purposes. No, that's fine. Disinfectants are fine. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so. Those type, like even the alcohol, they have chocolate liquor. That's just a name. There's certain things. Vanilla has alcohol. I mean, certain things, almost everything, like all fruit drinks have alcohol content. If you actually took orange juice and analyzed it, you're going to get some percentage. But there's things that are ma'fu anhu. لا تسروا عن أشياء تبدأ لكم تسؤكم. If you delve too deeply into things, the Prophet said, هلك المتنطعون, that they perish those who delve too deeply into things. And the Prophet didn't like that kind of obsessive, where people went too extreme about those things. So, I mean, generally, I think a lot of that stuff, like personally, gum it's makruh anyway, gum. Just to chew gum, things like that. Ilq, I mean, the ulama mentioned that in the books, that, they considered it makruh because it was fi'l al-batalin. It was something that people that had too much time did. It was kind of a waste of money and... Wine vinegar is permissible. Yeah. Because it's not wine, it's vinegar, but it goes through a process of being wine. So once it's إذا يتخلل بعد الخمر, it's halal. Once it becomes vinegar after going through the wine process, it's halal. Yeah. What's that? Apple vinegar, all those things, they're permissible. Yeah. I mean, I think generally, yeah, everything, if it's, yeah. I mean, that's what we try to do. Yeah. I mean, it's just better quality. Yeah, طيب, حلالا طيبا. It's always in the Quran, it's halal and pure. I mean, it emphasizes pure, which, even though that generally means, like the money, everything, the source of it. Because the food can be halal, but if you purchase it with haram money, it's not tayyib. So, but the fact that word is such a comprehensive word, tayyib, pure. So things that are pure, food that's more pure. And when they sent in Surah Al-Kahf, when they sent them into the village, they asked him to get the purest food. Azka, which is like the purest food. And then also the ash of najas is not, fire purifies. And the smoke. So if something's najas is burning, the smoke is not najas, even though it gets into you. The unshed blood from a slaughtered animal. So the blood that's like, if you look, there's blood in the meat by the nature, but it's not flowing. That's not najas. And then the najas is the dead of other than what was mentioned, what exits from it, what is separated from it, or the living from that which has life, blood, like a horn, bone, fingernail, hoof, tooth, quill of a feather, and skin, even if it was tanned. So, like those things, if they're not from mudakka. And it is permissible to use it after tanning, to store dry goods in water and shed blood, black bile, the excrement of humans, and then the excrement of, other than the permissible. And also the consumer, anything that eats najasa. Changed vomit. Sperm is considered najas. Some of the ulama say that the sperm itself is not najas, but it becomes yanjus because it exits through the urethra. Like Imam Shafi'i was of the opinion that the basis of the human is not najas, but it becomes yanjus through the urethra. And by consensus, the Prophet ﷺ's, everything that came out of him was pure. And we know that Barakah drank his urine. I mean, that's a sound hadith. She didn't do it intentionally. She used to clean his room, and there was a bowl, and it smelt good, and she thought it was something to drink, and so she drank it, and it was his urine. But and she said about it that she never had a stomachache after that. Yeah. So. But everything, and the Prophet also, they used to, when the Prophet went to relieve himself, they would go and it was gone, because the earth actually takes takes the fadra of the prophets. And the man drank his blood also. The Prophet was cupped, and he gave some blood to the man. He told him to go bury it, and he took it, and he decided to drink it. And the Prophet said the fire won't touch him because of that. And then Mehdi and Wedi. Mehdi is a prostatic fluid, and Wedi, even though they differentiate from it because they are slightly different, is also a type of prostatic fluid that comes out, and they're both impure. So Mehdi is the clear, sticky that precedes the. It lubricates, and it precedes when somebody's aroused, they get the Mehdi. And Sayyidina Ali asked somebody to go ask the Prophet. He said, "Kuntu rajulan madha." I was, somebody that had a lot of prostatic this fluid of Mehdi. He was easily aroused, and he asked the Prophet ﷺ. He asked somebody, he was too embarrassed to ask the Prophet, so he asked somebody to go and ask the Prophet about it. And it's considered. And then whether usually comes if somebody is constipated, and it will come after. It's like a white fluid similar to semen. And then even if it is permissible, and pus, sadid, and qayh. Qayh is pus, sadid is exudate. So the exudate of a wound that comes out, right? Which is blood, really, isn't it? I mean, it's part of the blood. The pus is the white blood cells, right? And then the sadid is the serum of the blood. So, and then everything that flows from the body, such as scabs, if it contains liquid. So if you have boils and things like that, what comes out of it is considered najis. And obviously there's part of it is ma'fu anhu, there's things that are excused just because of the difficulty. So, So some things cannot be purified after contact with najasa, such as meat cooked in it. So if meat was cooked in something that had najasa, then you can't purify it after that. You have to just throw it out. Or an olive that was salted in it, or an egg boiled in it, a clay pot submerged in najasa. Not if it has, there are two types of clay pots, right? There's the clay pots that are porous and they absorb, and then there's glazed, it's been fired in a furnace. That you can clean, but if a clay pot that is porous and it gets najasa, then it can't. And then and also, in this section they talk about it's permissible to benefit from mutanajjis, from something that's impure, like the hide of an animal that was not killed through zakat. If it's tanned, it's permissible, but it shouldn't be used in the masjid, right? And it shouldn't be from a human, like anything used from a human. And then also that it's permissible, it's not permitted for a male adult to use silk. Now, some of the ulama permit a small amount of silk, but it's prohibited to do that. The Prophet ﷺ prohibited it. He allowed Zubair ibn Awam had eczema, and he did allow him to use silk. So somebody's skin is very sensitive to certain types of materials, and silk is something that's easier for them, then it's permissible to wear silk. And also, it's not permissible to use something that is ornamented with gold or silver. Right? So, now obviously very small amounts in certain fine chinas and things are considered, it's acceptable. In fine chinas, sometimes they have like a very small silver, and also matli if it's silver plated, things like that. But to eat from silver or gold is not permissible to do that. But it is permissible to put it on your sword or on the mushaf. So gold lettering that's done, the illuminated manuscripts that have gold lettering, that's permitted to do that. Well, like a silver mirror, you mean? Yeah, if it's very fine silver and if it's done for that reason, if it's not, these things are really about extravagance, and extravagance in Sharia is relative. A super rich person, who buys fine china, it's not necessarily considered extravagant, but if you were much more humbler means and you did the same thing, it would be considered extravagant. So there's kind of a relative approach to that, But there's people that have gold toilets and, gold sinks. I've been in houses where that's the case, like literally gold. That's way over the top. And it's permissible to use gold and silver, like you can use it for body parts, because gold is very biocompatible as a material. So sometimes teeth, gold teeth, the bridge of the nose, you can use it for also silver ring, right? A single silver ring. For a male, they should not wear 2 rings. They should only have 1 ring. The sunnah is to have a ring with a fuss that has a stone in it, and on this finger or the small finger, either the left or the right. The dominant opinion is the right, but they're both there. So, and the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did. It's makruh to wear like necklaces and things like that. If it's gold, then it's prohibited. But for men, they shouldn't. Also piercing the ears, anything that. I mean, some of this stuff goes into urf, but generally, those things are prohibited. Tattoos are prohibited also. I mean, there's a strong prohibition against tattoos. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's permissible to wear. I mean, white gold, platinum. I personally would avoid it. Titanium's fine. Yeah. Yeah, no, they both have proofs. They both have proofs. I don't know that specific thing, but they both have proofs. I mean, I have a book by Imam al-Hattab. It's Ahkam al-Khawatim, the rules relating to rings, and they go into great. If you do the wudu, they call it ijala. You just have to move it like that. If you do a ghusl, though, you have to take it. You have to get in where the ring is. Yeah. But for the wudu, you just have to, and then if you do tayammum, you have to take it off. There can't be ha'il. It's called a ha'il. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, it is. But, I mean, we have a problem now with filtered water now, because they're starting to take sewage water and filter it. That's definitely a problem. I mean, some of the ulama are against that. The what? Saliva is not najis. In Maliki's madhab, from dogs or pigs. Well, the water's potable. I mean, by law in the U.S., there's a lot of regulation about municipalities. So the water has to be potable. It can't be dangerous. Obviously, in some areas, the content of chlorine is much higher than other areas. I mean, I wouldn't drink. There's a lot of water out there that you can taste it. It just tastes bad. A lot of bottled water is just a complete scam, I mean, the best types of water are like distilled water. You get good water in, like, Whole Foods has good water. So reverse osmosis. I mean, there's, the best water is rainwater if you're in a clear area, or good river water. But also, obviously, there are illnesses now. Especially if there's animals in the area, you can get. But I mean, I grew up drinking from stream water, so I don't ever remember getting sick. Alhamdulillah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. جزا الله عنا سيدنا محمد خير ما جزيت نبينا عن أمته. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.